I will start the session with a few remarks. I'm an economist at a technology company. Fujitsu is the foremost ICT service company in Japan, supporting industry and services basically across the board. So we have been extremely busy over the last month, of course, to get everybody, well, running and working online, everybody connected, all the servers running, all the connections, and also thinking about the new ideas. We have a big reimagine campaign who's thinking about what is happening. And I'm very happy after following the first session that so many of the topics related to mobility, which in my view is one of the most important topics when dealing with this crisis, just after health, is, well, how can we reconnect the cities? How can we further upgrade the cities? Because this is where usually the dynamism is, and where we had over the last 10, 20 years, most of the dynamics internationally. We need to get the cities moving again, and we have to rethink what has to be done. This is our urban opportunity session, and I'm extremely happy to have the speakers around here that are representing basically all the important issues in my view. Harayama Sensei, who will directly start a presentation after me, is currently at RIKEN, the foremost technology research institute in Japan, developing supercomputers. For example, for the difficulties we have currently, Fujitsu has been helping with the nitty-gritty business of stitching together the supercomputer, which is now the fastest one in the world. But this goes way beyond that. It is how to use technology and what to do. And Mrs. Harayama was at the cabinet office advising the prime minister on these issues, and has been and still is a professor at Tōkyō University focusing on technology and science. She has been at the OECD working on these issues, extremely important. We have Herrn von Radecki with the Morgenstadt Initiative. This is where I'm usually looking when running around and thinking about future trends related to urbanization. He's focusing on the different concepts in different cities across continents, what is actually working. And this is so important right now when we are rethinking so many things we are doing. And finally, Nakajima-san, where I'm so happy because we are cooperating with Mitsui, the major Japanese trading house. We're investing now into smart technologies across the globe. To have him, he has been working for 20 years on batteries, on automotive issues. What are the next steps? How can we connect the automotive industry, batteries, energy to a new concept that works for the cities? First of all, I would like to have a few comments on my own. I'm an economist, I mentioned that, in terms of where I think we have to look at in the future. Well, the major topics, I will just mention three of them. One topic is the new normal, of course, what it is and how it is connected to digital mobility. Digital, of course, is the most important topic, not just because I come from Fujitsu, because that is basically what rescuing us during this major crisis when we cannot really move and connect in the old ways. And then the new normal opportunities, where are they? And how does this connect to Tokyo? Perhaps the most advanced city in terms of how technology has been applied, and certainly the biggest city we are having around. New normal, what it is. We had this question already, so I do not really have to come back this very much. Professor Schwarze was focusing on it very much. We have a three difficult years ahead of us, where liquidity is limited, where companies have to restructure, have to think, they have to focus on innovation, but with very little money. That means real innovation, thinking, reconnecting things, making things going. The future will be much more government influence. We already heard it, there will be more money for healthcare, but perhaps not so much for other issues. So we really have to think, what is in our industries? What can we do to reconnect, to do new things? When we look at it, what has happened, we already saw mobility data from Dr. Bart is, well, on the right side, US still in the doldrums of lockdown. Mobility, these are the Google mobility reports, down for retail, transit, work, but up for residents. So we have a reshift here. When you look at Japan now on the left side and Tokyo, we are not in a lockdown. We are in the second wave right now. The second wave means managing the new normal, because that will follow us well into next year. In particular, during the winter, it will be difficult again. When you look at it, you see that mobility has changed quite a bit. It remains high. higher in the residential areas where people are living now and have to be reconnected over the next year and beyond that. There is much less mobility in transit, so that we have a big shift with the mobility. Retail, not so bad anymore. It is work that is changing a lot again, and this is where residence and work-life shifts are happening. At Fujitsu, we are having a full work-life shift. We will cut back 50% of the real estate we are using, 50% of the office space. We will remodel all the office space we have and create new satellite offices at the hubs. We're closer to the customer. We will have everybody who can continue working online, like I do at home right now. So I have a lot of time to read, which is very good. And we have a lot of time to reconnect when we go to the office in new ways. So these will be new workspaces, very much the way we know it from WeWork, in hubs, in a new development on how cities are remixing. When you look at it, and I don't want to waste your time with too much economics talk and data, when you look at, these are not new trends. The young are basically using all the tools we have been using. This is why they have been here. Households have been spending on transport, in particular communication, the biggest share of their overall spending. As you can see with the red line, overall household spending has been down in Japan for a long period, for 20 years, for 30 years. The reason is aging society, and you see the big reshift. Manufacturers are down simply because they became cheaper, so households don't have to spend so much on them. This is productivity. Then you have transport and communication that is so important for an aging society and a modernizing society that is 90% plus urban. This is now what is helping us and where the trend will continue. And then you have in the middle medical care. This is in Japan left to the government, so the households are spending not too much on it. And housing, which has been cut back quite a bit, but that will change now with the remix of offices. When you look at the overall trends, and we had some questions related that, Obayashi-san, for example, was asking, well, what is happening actually in Japan, Tōkyō, why don't we see so much development? Look at the slide at the left. What you can see is that walking and cycling is already 1/3 that you're using in the major cities. There is Tōkyō, center Tōkyō. You have another 2/3 in terms of the brilliant public transport infrastructure. Only 12% in the core of Tōkyō, meaning the 12 million city, 12 million core city here. Only 12% is done by cars anymore. This is a long-term ongoing trend, which is a challenge to the automotive industry. And we already have heard that Toyota has already adjusted to it and is adjusting to it. You use much less cars and you use them in different ways by focusing on mobility as a service, by moving around. You see the other big cities are just following these trends. This move has been going on for quite a while because we have become already so much more digital. When you see on the right side, the daily trips people are taking, the blue line is the young and the orange line is the older ones, 70-year plus. You see that the mobility with the older ones is up, partially because they have to work longer. And with the younger one, it's down because they are, in terms of a demographic shift, we have some impact, but we also have, they are doing new jobs and they are working much closer to their homes because they can, because they already work digitally. So we have these long-term trends that are now on steroids and we have to adjust to it because this, we cannot just let it flow so much anymore. We have to do some active measures now. When you look at it, and this is in these arrow down there, you see this is the digitalization. When we ask different sectors, companies, how digitalized are you? Then no surprise, the media industry, most digitalized. This is the streaming revolution with Netflix, everything. But the real money and the business is actually coming from rebuilding their businesses by focusing on different sectors. When you look at the unicorns, so the biggest, growing, fastest companies in Japan, you will see, for example, Marklines, automotive industry portal. They're supporting the automotive and parts industry by connecting them, providing digital information, customer services with customer relations management, and so on. This is what really happening. When you look on the left side, you see that one of the industry we like to call it with potential being a bit backward. Well, this is the workspace and the work shift. It comes on this. This is the work shift. This is what WeWork has been doing and booming on it, but this is not what everybody's doing. This is what Fujitsu is doing for us ourselves, where we're helping our customers to move into mixed workspaces. That means that we don't have just these centers, where the city center where we are working with our offices right now, like in Shiodoma. This will spread out now to different hubs, to different cities, to different areas. This is a full modernization that is following what we had at Center City with a full remix. For the automotive industry, following, we already heard, there needs to be diversification. We have digitalization, that is on the left side, mobility as a service, but the future concepts, and this is what Mr. Nordiker mentioned, is, well, we will probably shift the city around also in terms of what the automotive industry is doing by electric pods that are being recharged, that are moving to spaces and create new city centers beyond the malls with huge parking spaces. This is coming to the people like in my old grandmother's hometown Blankenese in Hamburg, where the vegetable man was coming in the morning with his car and distributing like a moving marketplace their product. This is now what is probably coming back in the new spaces. Now, what we had so far are these big smart city hubs. This is Tokyo. In the middle is the Tokyo Olympic development, but that is only a part of it. The high-rise building here at the horizon in the upper chart. This has been happening because the young people are moving into the city. There are so many kids that it is already a challenge for this area just to host them all. We have high-rise apartments because, well, everybody's working. Both partners are working and trying to have kids. That means you need to be close to the work to your workplaces. This is what is happening on the lower one, is in Shinagawa, connecting Haneda Airport for the future of shorter supply chains by having this meeting hub where the automotive industry and everybody is meeting with their suppliers in Asia, meeting when they have to, otherwise it will be digital. So we have new centers here. Barcelona. These are more than new concepts, right? Old city, old structures, but being reassembled. Paris, planning on the 15-minute city. This is now where these not smart cities planned and just built new cities are being created. This is where the old cities, where everybody's city is now moving into a new mix with digital, into a new mix how you work and live, and the city is being shaped. And here we are done. I already introduced our coming speakers. Please be active with the chat. Tatiana will follow up and summarize these questions. Raise your hand after the talks. I now hand over to Professor Hadayama, who is the most important person in terms of looking at Society 5.0 and the original ideas of Japan, how to digitalize for the future, and how this is now changing with COVID, how is the impact is happening when you just don't have a lofty concept anymore for some future, but high pressure to move on now, to do changes right now and from this moment. Thank you so much.